Following is a presentation of iRacing on PTR TV. We'd like to thank all of our channel partners for their support. Please like and subscribe to the channel, and we hope you enjoy today's broadcast. Only 2 races left in the 2026 Florida State Builders Area Pro Series. We take to the historic venue at North Wilkesboro to set the final picture for who will be racing for a championship at Auto Club next week. A couple drivers are close, a couple drivers are on the bubble, and we have a short track with tempers and bumpers and a lot of hectic racing separating us from the championship week. Welcome everybody to PTR TV for today's coverage of the Area Pro Series Chase Race number 4. We're going to be doing 170 laps here around North Wilkesboro. It's going to be myself, Corey Silva, in the booth, and again, at present, that's all we got. Hunter was allegedly on my schedule, but is not here at present, so hopefully somebody will be able to join me in these airwaves, if not perhaps an admin of sorts here. But Let's take a gander at what's going on here right now. We are still in qualifying here. 2 minutes or so left to go here. We got a grid of about, I think, high 20s or so of drivers here. And let's take a good look at who is on track. Jonathan Evans currently on the racetrack right now with the fast time at a 19.3, but we still have a lot of the heavy hitters who have yet to turn their laps. James Scioli still has yet to run. Justin Opplinger, someone who we always do watch out for to run some good times, and here he goes pulling out of the box right here. But certainly that was a heater by Jonathan Evans, up by 1/10 of a second, which at a short track, 1/10 of a second is a significant amount of time, especially in a series of this stature. See what he can do here, coming off of 4, starting his first of 2 laps. Coming down the back straightaway, timer is looking good, but typically on this end of the track is where it starts to go astray there. Timer is going up, probably into the 5s. Probably will have him there right around the 10th spot, I think, for Opplinger, which is a pretty solid lap. There, actually, no, P6. So there you go with that. James Scioli has pulled out of the pits. Seeing what he can muster here on the evening. Coming on through 3 and 4. What can James Scioli do? He will go with a 4 up to P2 here on the day. So that is a really good lap for him, but still 2 laps on the board. So we'll see if he can best it. I don't know if lap 2 is going to be able to do better. It has about a 10th that he's going to have to run. And a 4.14. He'll go a little bit faster, but not fast enough. Of course, we want to thank everyone who is turning in here to PTR TV. If it's first time, don't make it your last. Hit the like and subscribe button here. Of course, if you're watching on Twitch, consider following, subscribing, $5 a month. Double points, custom emotes, and eventually you can turn those double points into some free merch. So again, we thank everyone for spending a Thursday night with us, or if you're watching on the VOD, thank you for tuning in on the on-demand coverage. But let's take a look at the points here, because again, this is the kind of the money race that will set who even has a fighting chance heading into Auto Club. John Hall up top of the standings right now, over 4 over Peyton Howell. Peyton Howell has dominated the season, has led the majority of the points over the schedule, but has faltered here later in the season. But still, 4 points is not too far back at all. John Hall with that win at Charlotte, gaining the spots. Mercurio in fighting range. It's gonna take something big for Scioli and for Jake Nichols to get back up there, but a poor run at a short track is possible, so you can't write anything off too early. But North Wilkesboro in the Truck Series race here, if you watched that on Tuesday night here on PTR TV or on the Area iRacing Twitch, we had, I think, 14 cautions. We did have some good racing when we were going through, as somebody is running the infield here for some inexplicable reason, but we did see some good racing, some good side-by-side racing, did see some tempers flare, but of course here with the Thursday series, it does have the tradition to be the cleanest series of the week here in area. So will be interesting to see if indeed we do keep that trend alive of running the cleanest race, or even will this series be one to start to have the tempers aflare in here. That's the 99 Jared Skinner into the wall there. Casey Lakatos there in the 50 hasn't had too monumental of a season here this evening, so he'll see what he can muster there in practice, up to 5th right now. And again, we do have a myriad of different penalties going on here this evening, so we'll see at the end of the session, which is actually now. So We'll head down trackside for our Central Mobile Homes starting lineup here. Again, if you're looking for a new shed, Triple Crown trailer, or floor plan, look at Central Mobile Homes at centralmobilehomesinc.com. Of course, serving Florida customers for 30 years there. Again, head to centralmobilehomesinc.com. But now, let's head down trackside for the starting lineup here today from the North Wilkesboro Speedway. Jonathan Evans with that 19.375. He's going to roll off P1 today with James Scioli, again trying to fight for his championship life, and he's going to do it from P2. Next on the board going to be Brian Mercurio with AJ Stravato, two chase drivers there in third and fourth. Fifth, we have Jake Nichols with Justin Opplinger in sixth. We'll find John Hall in seventh with Josh Parrish in eighth. Ninth will be Michael Tucker and Jackson Hartman rounding out the top 10. 11th, we got Bryce Senesac with JT Poole going to be in the 12th spot. Connor Horn in 13th with Jeff Wright in 14th position. We'll head on back to Alex Chilcutt in 15th. Jared Skinner going to be in 16th spot. Rounding out the top 20, we have Josh Adams, Ryan Nowicki, Travis Beckner, and Peyton Howell. Again, second in the points, trying to keep himself close to that points lead. Find David Weishart in 21st, Forrest Smith in 22nd, and of course we'll just let the rest of them scroll on through, because with the penalties and whatnot, there's no guarantee at the accuracy of these positions, because everybody will be jumbled on up here this evening. Let's take a look at the weather here from North Wilkesboro. 72 in the air, 76 on the track. So again, very comparable to what we witnessed the other night. I don't think the track is going to be slick, although we'll see how the setup is, how the tires do fare, all those fun strategies that we always look forward to here in area in a race. But here comes all of the drivers who do have their issues, all of their penalties. Drivers will be getting out of the way, and those are as follows: Durham, Howell, Swan, Kerr, and Sebastian Marin, who's not here. So again, Peyton Howell will have to go even further to the back of the field. Elwood, Smith, and Shackelford are scheduled for the drive-through, which again, that's going to be the worst one to take, because of course, the drive-through will probably put you a lap down, and that is hard to recover from. But if we have an early caution flag, maybe you can get some free passes, may come into play. Of course, it'll be 170 laps, 4 sets of good years in the pits. With our fixed setup here, will we need to go into overtime? Trends do typically say yes, but sometimes we do have ourselves clean and green, and traditionally here in the Pro Series, again, we go green more so either on the Cup side or the truck side here. So coming through 3 and 4, rather coming off of turn 2, pace car will take that dive to the left side of your screen into the pits. There it on dives into the safety of the pit road, and we'll wait to get into that restart box. Short track racing area style from North Wilkesboro. Jonathan Evans, the pole sitter, to the outside. Marty's going to get him waving here, get him racing here. North Wilkesboro, green flag underway. And we're coming on through down side by side still. Looks like Scioli using that bottom of the racetrack. Evans took the gamble to go up top, and it's not going to pay off. At least not for now. Let's go off into the corner. Scioli trying to clear, but there goes the momentum, the surge from the 26. He'll try to get into the position. We know the outside is better in 1 and 2. The bottom is a little bit better in 3 and 4. Very hard to pass here. A good side-by-side battle here for the lead. I think the 26 may be able to clear. 7 goes up the track, trying to use some of the banking. We'll lose the spot. Now Brian Mercurio is going to try to fill in up top. Again, now you're kind of stuck to the bottom of the racetrack. 7 has to pinch the car down, loses the momentum, but he's going to try to clear Mercurio and try to settle in line here this evening. AJ Stravato there in the number 77. Again, looking to the top of the track. Justin Opplinger in the 96 down, looking on the low side of the raceway here. So far, so good. I know Tuesday we didn't complete a lap. Monday, I don't think we made it more than 2 laps, but thus far, we are looking pretty solid here at North Wilkesboro here in these Florida State Pro Builders cars. I always get that messed up. The Florida State Builders Pro Series cars. Pardon me there. But here's Bryce Senesac, Jeff Wright looking side by side. Just saw a little bit further up Josh Parrish, first one to really go all the way to the top. Looks as though a lot of these drivers running a middle-low line right now in 1 and 2. Sometimes running on the top of the track will use up the tires quicker, so that is sometimes a decision you have to make. Short run speed versus long runs, and traditionally here on Thursdays, we are going more for the long runs. But right now, Jonathan Evans enjoying a pretty decent lead, 0.2 of a second. Scioli, who was going for the lead, now looking underneath Mercurio here, trying to use the flat, but again, this pseudo-progressive banking here at North Wilkesboro. Flatter on the bottom, more banking on the top, so it does make it harder to clear for those passes down on the inside. And it does appear as so, folks, that I'm probably going to be doing this one solo. It does happen in emergency situations here. Hasn't happened recently, but looks like I will be running this one solo. So if there's a gap in coverage, it's because it is hard to talk for about 2 hours straight with no breaks here. So again, just forgive me for that. Doing the best I can. Maybe someone will be able to pop in. We've sent the pings out there. But Jeff Wright, he's looking to the inside of Bryce Senesac in the 09. This is 14th and 15th. Again, Jeff Wright is technically a chaser, but he is down there 6th in the points. Did miss 2 races, which obviously quite hindered him in his chase situation there, but he's now going to the top of the track. Travis Beckner, remember, he led some laps in the Cup Series race. Traditionally is one to watch for on these short track races. But now, again, can't clear to the inside. That's just the nature of what we have here. Sometimes you can dive it on in. I think Beckner may be clear this time by. He is cleared. He will shut the door. David Weishart trying to fill the gap into the inside as well. Seemingly the inside starting to run a little better. But here we go. Speaking of the inside, up to the front of the field, Brian Mercurio to the inside of Jonathan Evans. Gotta love that paint scheme there on Jonathan Evans' car. Really shines under these North Wilkesboro lights. As does that number 82 C2C Racing Supra of Mercurio. They'll go side by side, and this should allow Brian Mercurio to close on in and try to make some headway, try to get back to the lead. Makes you wonder who's saving tires, who is just kind of running a methodical pace. Hard to tell here. Again, I don't have any numbers pertaining to strategy. I don't have any numbers pertaining to fall off or fuel, so we'll learn those on the fly here. Traditionally, fall off is pretty significant. So Mercurio probably using more tire than he'd like to on the bottom of the racetrack right now to try to make this happen. Just getting a word in, 150 laps of fuel. So that would certainly mean that you can make it to the end on one stop. I mean, if we had a myriad of cautions, but right now we're going clean and green. I would not necessarily expect this thing to go green all the way, but again, these Thursday guys have certainly not surprised us, but these Thursday drivers have really put in a good show on various occasions. We've had many races this season go completely caution-free. And right now, we have been side by side for the lead for about 5 laps now. Really having some good stuff here, but all the while, Mercurio is not, Scioli is not actually gaining at all, as Evans will finally go back to clear on the outside lane. He will hold off the charge there of Mercurio, but all the while, they were still running good enough lap times that Scioli was not actually able to gain any time on him. So right up front here, I'll pull up the lap times there on the display for you guys, and it is showing right now that AJ Stravato in that number 77, going back there to the 4th spot. He was the fastest the prior lap, but this time around it is Jonathan Evans there in the 1s. And here we go, nearly 3 wide. Jake Nichols, who we haven't spoken of all race, starting to make his presence known in that number 73. But now he has 24 John Hall to the inside. But here we go up front again. I saw Mercurio going to the inside again. There he goes once more, trying to go to the inside of the racetrack right now. Again, 22 laps in. We're about 0.8 of a second falling off here on the lap times. So now we're really starting to tell who has what. But Mercurio just can't clear the pass right now. And this is just the beauty of the racing, but this is also a situation where it does get, as a driver, this does get frustrating because Mercurio knows if he could clear, he could probably set sail and drive off about a second. But right now, he can't do it. He's stuck, and he wants to get the lead. He wants to drive off. He wants to control the race, and eventually, he really got loose, tried to put the power down. Evans doing a really good job driving it in deep, so Mercurio can't get that really big drive in there. He can't send it in and clear and do a slider. Evans doing a good job to block it, but here comes Scioli in the 7, just running the methodical pace, letting them battle for the lead, and maybe now is his time to shine in the 7. Mercurio's going to go back to the bottom. And Scioli even lower than that, using every last bit of real estate here at North Wilkesboro, both trying to get clean air on the nose and find positioning on the race leader. You can see that darkened groove already rubbering in. I saw somebody way back there. That's Alex Chilcutt. He was up there running the wall in 3 and 4. That's not something we've seen. There's Parrish up there as well. Jake Nichols running the top of the track. He's known for doing that as well. Trying to use the top in 3 and 4, which really doesn't work as well. It will work, especially as they rubber in this racetrack. But this is where the top is the best, in 1 and 2. A little bit of contact, Opplinger to Stravato. But here comes Jake Nichols. Opplinger left the lane open there. And Stravato is ahead of this as Jake Nichols will get the position on the 96. This is the battle for the 5th spot. Good stuff here. This is, again, basically 5th on back right now. All chase drivers running very, very tight times. Jake Nichols up to 5th, looking for more. You can see he's using that slightly higher lane. And I think AJ Stravato is going to be next on his chopping block. Here comes the 82. He's gotten himself to the outside. That's the move he needed to make. Evans must have ran low. Mercurio was able to peek the nose there on the high side. And now they'll probably run side by side for a few laps here. But here comes Mercurio to go top of the board here. Took him about 25 laps to make the pass. Now he has it. What will he do? Will he be able to pull away as I predicted? And will Scioli be able to get around the 26? But here's Jake Nichols. He's gotten around Stravato. He's going to go up to P4. All the while clean and green to start off the 170 lapper here at North Wilkesboro. About 45 minutes of racing if this thing goes flag to flag, which I would be absolutely floored if this thing went flag to flag. But again, if I look at the traditions here in the Florida State Builders Pro Series, if we look at the schedule, I don't necessarily know offhand, but I know we've had at least 2 or 3 caution-free races this season, of course not counting the road course. So this will certainly put a different dynamic into the show. You're not going to want to come into the pits under green if you can evade it here. Speaking of that, Ben Pierce, he's 24 laps down. Not sure if he had to join late or if he had an issue that we didn't catch, but he is going to rejoin and just try to run out here, turn some laps. But let's see what Mercurio is doing right now. A 19.5 was his best lap, and we're already about 1 second off the pace. We've seen many a time that we've gone 2 seconds off the pace here in these O'Reilly's cars. And here comes the 7 of Scioli. Again, looks like Evans, he maybe has abused the car by running the top of the racetrack too much. And now he's really having to run low for comfort. I believe that may be what it is. And we have a car around. That's AJ Stravato. He was in the top 5. And this will be our first caution of the day. Unfortunate. He was running there in the top 5. I don't know if it was a self-spin. He was running right with Justin Opplinger here. Oh, a little bit of contact. And he had it saved, so that was kind of weird. JT Poole getting a little contact. Alex Chilcutt. That was a little strange because he did have it saved, but then he kind of lost it after the fact. So there's the initial contact. Oh, pardon me there. That's what happens when I'm trying to do too much here. Click the wrong button, but he had it originally saved, and then Opplinger basically hit him back straight, but I guess when he did that, he wasn't able to save it. But anywho, we're back to live pictures, and everybody is in the pits, which you'd expect. 4 sets of tires to play with here this evening. Anybody stay out? Ryan Nowicki stayed out, but he is instantly going to come back in. Maybe he was too far back and he wouldn't have been able to stay on the lead lap. But Mercurio will get out of the pits first. We'll see if there's any strategies at play. I doubt it. I wouldn't want to do anything besides 4 tires at this point in the race. 40 laps in gives you a good indication of what your car is going to be willing to do. But I guess the beauty for Stravato, actually, he's been shown a black flag right now as well. Kind of insult to injury. So he is 1 lap down, and he's probably going to go more, which is highly unfortunate where he was in the top 5. We are back 1 to green here at North Wilkesboro after 40 laps on the day. First caution of the race. Ryan Mercurio took so much time to be able to get by Evans. Evans now back to 3rd on the inside. So let's see what Mercurio can do. Scioli started 2nd on the initial start. Gave a battle for the lead. Let's see what he can do here on the first official restart of the day. Into the restart box. There they go waving. Looks like Scioli will fall back into the clutches of his teammate, Jake Nichols there in the 73. Now looking to the top of the track. Of course, they are wadded up here, headed down the back straightaway. Everybody getting situated here. This is where you got to make your passes while everyone's wadded up, while everybody's side by side, because once you do string out, as we've seen, it gets very, very difficult to run side by side and make the passes. You got to do it now while everybody is bunched together. JT Poole had a little bit of contact in that wreck, obviously not enough to hinder him too much. Down there underneath Opplinger, Travis Beckner, he is now in the 11th spot. Working that bottom of the track. Michael Tucker, haven't spoke of him yet, in the 36. There he goes. And then there's Peyton Howell. He had the EOL. Remember, he is 2nd in the point standings, 4 points behind John Hall, so he's got to keep that 24 in sight. Auto Club next week. You don't want to be too far back. I would want to be no more than double digits back. I would want to be 9 or less, single digits gap to have the best chance at the championship race. So he's got to keep that 24 in his sights, and right now he is. John Hall is in 7th. Bunch of cars separating those 2 drivers. Brian Mercurio, again, he is 24 points back, so he has a 6 position gap over John Hall. That will lower that gap, which, again, he is going to need probably a little bit more of a massive swing, but all he can do is what he can control, and he has that thing P1 right now, which is all he can ask for. So he's running this thing as clean as he can. Opplinger and Poole still side by side there behind John Hall, still wadded up, tight nose racing here at North Wilkesboro. And now they're going to go 3 wide here through 1 and 2. Opplinger to the top, Tucker to the middle. Beckner was trying to run the bottom of the racetrack to no avail. And that outside of the racetrack through 3 and 4, it can hold its own, but it's not the faster line. But here is where the top is the faster line. Well, traditionally it is, but right now, early in the run where the grip is still there, it does appear that inside in 1 and 2 is hanging on pretty well. Opplinger goes back to 9th right now. Peyton Howell struggling to make something happen right now. He is still running in 11th. Not missing anything up front. Brian Mercurio is up by 0.7 of a second over Jake Nichols right now. And now we're starting to single out, getting into our groove. Remember, we went 40 laps green on the opening stint, and we'll see what kind of stint we can get through this time. Scioli took a brief dive into the inside of the 73, but that move didn't work. Lost a lot of track position. Of course, we want to thank some of our partners here with Area who have been loyal to the league all season. Of course, one of them being rickshotsauce.com. You can head to rickshotsauce.com for your hot sauce needs, a various number of flavors: Lokahatchee Classic, Golden Garlic, Palm Beach, Pineapple. And of course, we'll figure out who that Rookie of the Year is on Mondays for that $100 Rick's Hot Sauce prize at rickshotsauce.com. Link in the description. Off the top is still singled out. These drivers still haven't figured out what they want to do, and they were almost running 4 different lanes there simultaneously. And dirty air, as annoying and frustrating as it may be to say at a short track, there is dirty air here, so you do want to get into clean air. Howell right now splitting the gap. He got some clean air through the center of the corner. That would certainly help him out. Can see that damage to the front of JT Poole right there on that right front quarter panel. I don't think it's hindering him too much. As long as that wheel is pointed appropriately, I don't think it's going to hurt him at all. And clearly he's still running pretty solid pace. As we go a little further back, you find Bryce Senesac and David Weishart side by side for the 13th spot. Alex Chilcutt in the outside lane right there. He was involved in that wreck to a degree, and it slowed him up. He is shown a lap down now in the free pass spot, waiting for the ever elusive caution flag if we are to get one. And just to show everyone on camera here today: Jeff Wright, Josh Adams, Justin Bolton, Ryan Nowicki, and is that Casey Lakatos there? Just trying to get everybody on camera here today. Here at North Wilkesboro, still have 22 drivers on the lead lap. But up front here, we certainly have spaced ourselves out, and that is the race lead right now. Here's Mercurio, Nichols, Scioli, and now this is the bunch. But certainly as each lap goes by, the tires start to wear more, handling comes more into play, the skill sets come into play, and that's why you see them spread out. But these drivers are just so tightly packed that even if someone is better, they just can't get through. This is where it gets harder to pass, where you kind of get infinitely stuck side by side, as we saw with the race lead earlier with Mercurio and Evans. Evans, by the way, has dropped down to the 5th spot. But these drivers are just so close together, literally from, I would say, 7th of Connor Horn, who we really haven't discussed at all today, making himself through the field. You can go back 7th, honestly, back to 13th of David Weishart, all basically within 1 second of each other, which is pretty crazy to see how close these drivers are after all of these laps. But yeah, Connor Horn, where did he start on the day, just to refresh our memories? He is up 6 spots on the day, up to P7. Well, I guess that kind of worked out appropriately for his car number there. Peyton Howell now down to the 8th spot. John Hall up to 6. Here's Beckner trying to make something happen underneath Michael Tucker. David Weishart was able to clear Senesac and gain some progress, and he is now up to 13th. You can see Senesac falling back a little bit. They were side by side about 10 or so laps ago. JT Poole making a charge here underneath Peyton Howell. Again, every position Peyton Howell loses to John Hall is a greater lead for John Hall in the standings heading into Auto Club next week. So that is certainly, again, watch the 24 and watch the 52 on the pylon right now. And Howell will hang on for now. Horn is still trying to work his way through. Now Howell is only 1 spot back, which again, that will alleviate the bleeding for now. Someone who doesn't need any bleeding alleviated. He is causing the field to bleed here with his cutting edge pace right now. And that is that 82 of Brian Mercurio. And what a way to walk into cutting edge than to talk about Blue Tip Pool Builders. Their cutting edge tech, highly skilled craftsmen. Get your pool, your outdoor kitchen, your dynamic lounging area. They'll get it up and looking the way it needs to entertain here on the back end of this summertime. Enjoy it all. Enjoy your outside and have Blue Tip Pool Builders help you out at bluetippools.com. Yeah, almost a 1 second gap there. Mercurio running about either draw even to Jake Nichols or running maybe about a tenth or so faster. Let's see what it is this time, a 34 to a 36. So that's all but a draw. And you can see the different lanes at play. Now, some of that might be driver preference, but even at this gap, 0.8 of a second, 0.9 of a second, there still is a little bit of dirty air wash, believe it or not. We'll see what the gap is this time by, holding steady around 0.9 of a second. And that time by a more sizable difference, and I think that maybe because Jake Nichols did run a much lower line trying to experiment and paid the price from it. But here is the gaggle. Travis Beckner up to 11th, and caution flag on the speedway. Jackson Hartman has instantly placed his vehicle in the pits. Try to sort out what happened here. No, just a self-spin. He had Nowicki to his rear. I don't know if that was any rear air grief arrow loose situation, but we're into the pits here. This is the second set of tires. We're 30 laps since our last set. This will leave 2 more sets of tires for 100 laps, so still puts these drivers in a good position. Did hear that admin did call that there could be some strategy calls here going on the day with 2 tires. I don't know if we'll necessarily see it, but they said it could be an option, and it did actually win the race in the truck series the other day. There goes Nowicki staying out just to get his track position. But let's see, any takers up front? We do have, that's Josh Parrish. He must have did something cheeky because he was not in the top 5 before. Josh Parrish taking 2 tires. Jonathan Evans back to 6th because of that. Brian Mercurio back to what will be the race lead once this cycles through. Looks like we will have some wave arounds right now. Everybody right now in front of the race leader. You can see we do have a ton of cars in front of the race leader. There's Mercurio in that blue car. All these drivers right now will be taking the wave arounds. So that means they could not pit. So they still are on their older tires, which means they will be about a second or so off the pace, and they're going to hope for a quickie yellow that they're not involved in, so that way they can use that quickie yellow, get back into the game here. change their tires and then have a chance to race competitively here. But right now they will be at a deficit. But right now, who also is at a deficit? Left side tires on the 71. How will 2 tires work here on the day? I guess we'll find out. 71 all the way to the bottom of the track. On the loud pedal is Mercurio, and already pulling the parachute is Josh Parrish. He did not get up to speed. 3 wide, blending around the top of the racetrack right there. Peyton Howell, Michael Tucker, JT Poole. So that call by the 71, a very short-lived gain, and it may work out to be a net loss as we are back under yellow again. Is this Ryan Nowicki, I believe? Yes, he was slow in 3 and 4. And that was just a self-spin. So all those drivers who took the wave around, this is exactly what they wanted because it allowed them to pit, put those fresh tires on, and now they will be back on the lead lap at no deficit to the rest of the field. Guys, again, I am going to be calling this silent today by myself, solo by myself, so these caution flags be a little bit quiet unless there's any storyline, just so I can kind of get myself together here. So I'll be back with you live for the restart, so just bear with me for about a 30-second station identification. All right, so we'll get ourselves back to green flag racing. Do want to thank Lucky Ducks in the chat. I will appreciate that super chat again, as my my voice will struggle to finish this one off, but we will certainly manage to get ourselves through and work hard to the finish here. Scioli to the inside. He's been starting on the inside, I think, almost every single restart. Mercurio, the control vehicle, to the outside of the racetrack. Green flag back in the air. Scioli will be able to clear for second, go up to the top of the track. Connor Horn actually may take that top of the track away from Scioli, and yes, he will. Connor Horn really making his presence known here this evening in that number 67, 609 Motorsports Chevy. Thought he was going to get to the outside of the 7, but he could not clear for the pass there. Scioli will go up to block that move, take that lane away. Now here's John Hall to the inside. And John Hall trying to put as much of a gap between himself and the 52. Again, that is the points coming into today. Refreshing it on the screen for you guys. This is where we stand entering today, which is the second to last race here on the season. So the 52 of Howell, the 24 of John Hall, and then Mercurio. He is just doing whatever he can. He's been dominating this race, and wherever the points shake out, they shake out. But here we go, 3 wide through 4. Jake Nichols, power move to the inside of both the 52 and the 24. And Jake Nichols just hasn't had the chase that he would normally expect. And he is not going to be going back-to-back here, but he will not be going for the championship here this Pro Series season. But trying to end the season on a high nonetheless here as he goes to the top. Michael Tucker going into the middle. Beckner to the bottom, almost into the side of the 36. And we've had two or three cautions on the day. We've had a 40-lap stint and we've had a 30-lap stint here today. Fuel will be good to the end. Tires, we're going to be going about 100 laps to the end, so I imagine that if the emergency did come to play, they would run to the end here on their set of tires. So someone like Mercurio does tend to be really good at saving the tires. So I would expect, oh, that's all for naught because we are wrecked in turn 4. We're wrecked in turn 4 and we're still green. So I don't know what that was about, but anyways, we're still green flag unless I was hallucinating there. I could have swore I saw something in turn 4, but we stay green nonetheless, and that has really spread the field out. Could have swore I saw something there. I don't want to go back and guess, but I could have swore I saw cars in the turn 4 wall there. But anywho, we stay green. Now we have really spread out. And this is, again, what North Wilkesboro is known for. It's known for not necessarily being a track where it's completely bumper to bumper, like a Bristol race or a bull ring. It is a short track, but it races more like an Iowa of sorts, where it is a little bit more spread out, takes a little more skill. Chilcutt driving right into the side of Parrish there. Luckily, they both stay straight. And Chilcutt in 10th now, trying to clear for that pass. DJ Stagner back there as well. This is the first side-by-side battle on the track right now in the lineup. Yes, I did see something because Travis Beckner on lap 84 did get a 2-incident penalty per the area incident system applied to him there. So I was not going crazy. Unfortunately, I couldn't catch it live up close. But yes, there was a incident that did happen. Travis Beckner getting the incident points on that, so that will apply to him for the season finale next week. But here is Parrish and Chilcutt still going side by side. DJ Stagner in the 04 just kind of licking his chops. They're still side by side, bumping there through 4. Here comes Stagner all the way to the top, and then here's Parrish again making contact. This little short track love tap pancakes, and Stagner is just going to try to go rip the outside and get by the both of them. David Weishart joining the battle here. And this is what Mercurio was dealing with earlier in the race. Just you get stuck, and once the run kind of solidifies out, it's really hard to clear for these passes. Stagner going to the inside. He's going to try to send it in there, but Parrish very, very high. He may be able to clear for a brief moment. Will Stagner? No. Parrish will maintain a little bit of position, although he did hit the wall. Let's see if Stagner can clear. No, he cannot. And Weishart, he's going to try to figure out, well, who should I follow? Parrish may lose the spot this time by. Stagner will clear. Will he leave the lane open? He will. And Parrish will fill it in just by a little bit as they will duke it out. Here is a battle a little bit closer to the front. John Hall in 7th. I think he lost the spot there. I'm not sure who is the passer and the passee, but they were side by side. Jake Nichols in the 73. John Hall. I think John Hall is the passer in the situation, trying to use the bottom of the racetrack, but again, we know how that does work. It works for a little bit, and then it goes away. But then it tends to come back later in the run. It's a very, very dynamic situation here. Going back further, deeper into the field, Skylar Shackelford. Oh, big slide there by Justin Opplinger off of 4. He is really starting to struggle right now. He's down to 17th. He was in the top 10 for a large portion of the race, but he is really struggling and sideways. He has damage. I don't know if he was the one who was involved in that incident that we caught from a distance, because he does have some damage. I would take a gander that he may have been into the wall, and that car is no longer handling and up to full snuff right now. Unfortunate for him, because he was, again, running pretty well earlier in the race, and 8th in the points, probably could have got up to 5th Was only 10 points behind fifth, so that would have been something to work for. But still, maybe he can get it fixed as we close in on the century mark here at North Wilkesboro. Right now, Mercurio up by 1.2 seconds. He battled heavily with Jonathan Evans for the first 30 laps, trying to take the lead, but Evans was really strong from the pole to hang on. But once Mercurio was able to get that thing in clean air, he has set sail and really has had no contest. Scioli, that he's matching laps or running a skosh slower, but obviously the sway of that pendulum is more in the 82's favor, hence why he is pulling away, and that gap is not heading in Scioli's direction. Jonathan Evans staying solid in the third spot. Connor Horn, again, he drove up from starting in the teens. He's drove up to the top 5, and Peyton Howell making that charge now, and Peyton Howell is ahead of John Hall, so this is obviously to the advantage of the 52. Maybe we'll even have a tie in the points lead coming into Auto Club. With this move by the 52 underneath Connor Horn, that would be another point. Still early, still a lot of running room to have. And of course, the lower John Hall falls on the podium, that works out for Mercurio as well, because it will slowly bring Mercurio closer into the points race as we head into the final race next week. We don't have any specific details on the 2027 area campaign, but again, you can stay tuned to the area iRacing socials, and I'm sure the teasers will be there. Initial rumors say around February or March of next year. So we will have the summer off, but there are likely to be some off-season races here, some fun, whether it be fundraisers. And again, I did put in the description of the video our area friend, Ricky Springer, who is undergoing leukemia. You can donate there on the screen. The link is also in the description. Has undergone leukemia. Obviously, you know how those medical bills will be, and any assistance will be gratefully appreciated by the family. I know they've already done a great job raising. Ricky will be out of work because of the treatments, and obviously anything that can be done to help out. He's been a friend, a winner in area, and also check that out as well. And I know they said the next fundraiser event, I believe, is going to go fully to that Ricky Springer fundraiser campaign, which is obviously a very good move whenever that event does come to fruition. Here's Josh Parrish, who has been one to watch. He was side by side and bumping doors earlier. Now he has Josh Adams and Bryce Senesek, as well as Skylar Shackelford behind. And we head back a little further. Drivers we haven't spoke of on the day. There's AJ Stravado. Remember, he had that spin earlier, which was unfortunate. Michael Tucker. Justin Opplinger. We saw the damage that he has acquired. Sebastian Miller. And a couple others. Nowicki, Forrest Smith. But here we go back up front for the 4th spot. Connor Horn has it. Peyton Howell wants it. And this is just the frustrating yet entertainment part of North Wilkesboro. Huge send-on in there. Howell will do the clear. I don't know how he was able to do that. We haven't seen anybody be able to do the send and clear. Peyton Howell, the first one to do so, moves him up to 4th. Now Jake Nichols trying to follow suit on the bottom, but he will not be able to do so. Falls back into line here. And now he's going to do the total opposite. He's going to try to go higher than Connor Horn. That opens the door, makes a juicy opportunity for John Hall, who tried to make the inside of the racetrack work. But that move will not work out. But now the 73 kind of stuck behind the 67. That slows them up to where John Hall might actually be able to make that inside lane work. But as soon as I say that, not the case. But take a stab underneath. Actually got pretty good momentum down the back here. But again, you could see that 73 driving it so deep into the corner on the outside. That is what blocks that full send move that we saw Peyton Howell do in turn one. David Weishart and DJ Stagner, 11th and 12th on the day. That battle, as quickly as it started, it will fall back into single file. You can see them running different lanes, but again, just struggling to make that happen here. They'll continue going side by side, and now we have a little bit of lap traffic in the mix. That's Casey Lakatos there, causing these drivers to evade in different directions, but he will respectfully get out of the way in that number 50. Not the season Lakatos would like. I know a couple last season, I believe he had a couple top fives, or at least one top five. I know there was a race at Dover last season that Lakatos actually did quite well in, but this season not really to his liking, but doing the best he can, turning some laps and gaining that important experience here. As we saw a little bit of smoke, I think that may have been Josh Adams and Josh Adams and Josh Parrish. Skylar Shackelford there trying to fill in the gap as well, and you can see there may have been a little contact there. They were loose off the corner here, and this is again back in the mid-teens. But all the while, Mercurio fighting through lap traffic, now up by almost 2 seconds. Oh, that's Forrest Smith into the wall there, trying to do whatever he can do to stay in his position right now. He is currently 1 lap down, doesn't want to go 2, put it in the wall there, but here comes Mercurio. And he just has such a blistering pace here. Again, we saw on Monday Sebastian Marin just do unthinkable things at Richmond in the Cup car, leading by 5 seconds over Van Drugman of all people. And no matter how tight the competition is, no matter how tight the SOFs, the I ratings are, sometimes you just have a guy who's just absolutely lights out. And by far, this is, I think, the most lights out performance for Brian Mercurio. And just as I say that, you know, there's opportunities. I was talking on Monday with Hunter was here that I go back to Richmond, and I can only remember how many dominating performances went without a win. Late race cautions, late race strategies, and you always love to see the fastest guy, the deserving guy, win the race. And thus far, we are pretty well clean and green, and because of that, not expecting any pit stops, we are going to go temporarily without engines. right, that temporarily loud engines did not cue a caution flag, and I'd like to rename that temporarily loud engines into Corey just needed a drink and rest his voice for about 3 minutes, but hopefully you enjoyed the sights and sounds as we close in on 40 laps to go. Again, Mercurio up by 2 seconds. That's our race recap on the day. And we've had 3 cautions. Again, they're kind of been spaced out into 20, 30-ish lap intervals, so we haven't really had a long run to the day. In fact, we are, I believe, on the longest run we've had on the day, now 60 laps. So if this does go at current trajectory, we will have a 100-lap run to the end, which is doable from all spectrums, but it may not be fun for these drivers. We may see some self-spins. We've already seen some self-spins, but they may be even more so as these tires get pushed all the way to capacity here. 19.5s were about the best lap anybody has run today. And you can see now we're down about 1.2 seconds. So certainly at a short track, you know, at a Michigan or a mile and a half, sometimes we consider splitting the segment and pitting and trying to, you know, overcome the gap that you would lose by staying out on old tires. You're not going to be able to do it here with as long as the pit road is. You lose at least 2 laps. You're not going to gain 2 laps on those fresh tires. So you're stuck with what you got unless a caution is to come out, which you can never write one home. But again, this is typically where cautions don't come out, is on the Thursday series. Traditionally, again, races here are the cleanest of the week, which is the trend that we certainly are dealing with right now. Is Jake Nichols, Connor Horn battling for the 6th and 7th position. Of course, irony of the number 67 car being involved. And look at JT Poole. Memory serves, I believe he won a truck race on the season, if memory serves. No, pardon me, it was actually a race in this series. Covering all 3, sometimes it makes it hard for me to remember which one's which. But he won at Bristol, so a short track specialist. Obviously a part-time driver, but when he is here, he is fast, and he is right here in the top 8. Travis Beckner, remember he, where did he start on the day? Again, you can check him out at HendryRacing.com. He'll be back in the flag booth at the end of August 29th. You can get your tickets at HendryRacing.com. He's up 10 on the day, unfortunately with a 2 incident point assessed to him, so that will be at least an end of line. I'm not sure where else he stands, but I think an end of line at Auto Club. He's underneath JT Poole. Alex Chilcott looking his chops here just behind. I think it's all stemming from Connor Horn kind of holding up Jake Nichols, who got loose through 4 there. Really trying to motor down on that inside lane, and then here we go up front. This is for 4th and 5th. And John Hall, he is trying to make that points lead bigger. If he can get ahead of Peyton Howell, that's going to help the points lead. Of course, if he stays behind, that's going to hurt the points lead. All going into Auto Club next week, where Auto Club traditionally being a drafty, packy race, for lack thereof better terminology, you want to have the best positioning possible. Winner of the race will get 5 points of an advantage over second. Each other position basically separated by 1. So obviously Mercurio, he is up about 7 points now, probably has as much bonus points as you could acquire. So Mercurio certainly can probably get this down to 15 points or so, given how things are right now. But Brian Mercurio is still going to need luck to happen, because a 15-point gap, that's going to mean basically one of those 2 leaders getting wrecked out of the way next week and finishing in the teens, 20s while he wins the race, which is still mathematically possible. But again, you don't want to necessarily bank on those situations. But John Hall not giving up and not letting down. And I will not sing the rest of the line here, but while both of these drivers are racing side by side and battling here with 30 to go at North Wilkesboro, they are closing in on Jonathan Evans for that 3rd position. Evans, again, the pole sitter here on the day. Some great battles, and Casey Lakatos will go sideways, and that will bring out the caution flag. In the words of Larry Mack, that changes everything here. Let's take a look here off of turn number 4. Just a little baby spin there. And Of course, the algorithm doesn't like you being sideways. Kind of obviously a safety concern, but here we go into the pits. The pits are open. Obviously, that light is just never right here in the sim. Mercurio, he has such a gap over Scioli. This is going to basically eliminate any real two-tire calls, because if you see how big of a gap Mercurio and Scioli have over second and third and fourth, the two of them can basically take two tires, or pardon me, they can take four tires and they won't even lose the lead. So it's basically a no-brainer. Mercurio is really in almost a no-lose situation here. But we'll see if anybody does choose to try anything. Again, here comes the four tires. Mercurio has already dropped the gap, dropped the jack before anybody else has really even done anything. Nobody of note doing anything up front. And so Mercurio will, of course, retain the lead here. Only driver to do anything was DJ Stagner there in seventh. He did take two, but again, this is all because of how spread out we were. Mercurio had such a lead entering the pits. They didn't have enough time to get all bunched up entering pit lane. So he was able to pit with that huge gap and really could afford to be as cautious as possible and still have the lead. And that's what he's worked for in this race. And that's pretty much the last pit stop you're going to see here on the day. So the only way Mercurio really is going to lose this race is if he makes a mistake or if somebody just straight takes it away from him, which we do have a lot of clean racers here. I don't expect that. James Scioli has really struggled on that inside lane. Jonathan Evans is quick, but I don't think he's quick enough. We will delay the green here so that everyone can get caught up. All those wave around drivers, they would not be able to catch up before we go back to green. So admin will delay it, let everybody get grouped up here, which is the good call. And we're only going to be about 23 laps of racing here at North Wilkesboro. Here we go. Into turn number 4. Mercurio to the top, the dominator on the day. Scioli to the inside on the loud pedal for the restart. There goes Mercurio with the 2-3 car length gap. John Hall going all the way to the bottom of the track. They're 3 wide. Jonathan Evans to the top. They'll go back to 2 here. Coming through, everyone's trying to get what they can get on the fresh tires while everyone's bunched together as Mercurio drives off. Peyton Howell, he is in 4th, 3rd, kind of blending through, trying to get every bit of positions in between him and that 24. And another caution flag. It's going to be Jared Skinner. Hello. Backwards there off of turn number 2. Not sure why he's backwards, but we will find out here. Oh. Let's see. 7. They just all got wadded up there. Out the 36 into the 88 into the 99, but they were all wadded up there. That'll be a difficult call for admin, I do believe. But we'll see how they sort it out. Yeah, they're just going to call it a stack up. I wouldn't have known how else to call that myself, so just kind of calling that a racing deal. One driver into another, into another, into another, and eventually the 99 getting the short end of the stick there. As will be sub 20 laps to go, and as we've said, the 7 has been on the inside lane basically, I'd say 85% of the restarts, and showing how difficult it is to start a race from that inside lane. Leaders obviously by choice using the outside lane. And that's given the 82 a jump on every single restart. Again, it's going to take someone taking this away from Mercurio. I do not see him making a mistake. It'll be good news for Peyton Howell. He'll be restarting on the outside with John Hall, I believe, in 6th. So again, he will be ahead of the 24, which when in the points picture, any position ahead of that 24 is only going to help Peyton Howell close that gap coming into Auto Club next week. We are on 1 to green here, and we'll try this again as we've run green for a lot of this race. Caution sprinkling out here at the end of it, which is kind of what you expect here at the end of a short track race. Coming into the restart box once again, Mercurio there on the outside as the control vehicle. He'll fire off in the Echo Park box. Again, Scioli struggling on the bottom. They're beating their bag in there. Green flag in the air as we duel off into turn number 1 and 2. 52 getting to the outside of the track of Scioli. He'll take 2nd here. John Hall trying to follow through. Peyton Howell, he's in 2nd. He is right to the rear bumper of Brian Mercurio. Are we going to have a surprise upset here as we have some beat and bang and some smoke? And here's Peyton Howell going to the bottom for the race lead. I can't find anyone who's really given a challenge to 82 since he's taken control of the race. But then, of course, right behind Peyton Howell is John Hall in the 24, which is, again, every advantage Howell is trying to gain. That 24 is basically putting the Band-Aid on to alleviate any bit of damage that 52 can acquire. But right to the back bumper. Again, this is a 5-point swing for Peyton Howell. If he can pass that number 82 of Mercurio, nobody has come close here today. But right to the rear, we know how difficult it is to pass on the inside here at North Wilkesboro. Does the 52 have enough? Will he use the bumper? Mercurio is in the chase, but he's not in championship contention. He is really needing something to happen as the 52 will dive it on in. We had a photo finish on Tuesday. Are we in for one here tonight? Scioli, of course, back to 4th there on that restart from the inside lane. And just behind that, Jonathan Evans as well. We are side by side at a little bit further back as they still have some sorting out to do. Travis Beckner, Alex Chilcutt, who is really the highest he's been. He's been in recovery mode most of this race. He's going to drive to the inside of Beckner for that 8th spot. Jake Nichols to the outside, who is kind of stagnated 4th to 8th most of the day. And they'll go side by side. Of course, most of these drivers I know up front hoping for no cautions, but will Mercurio make a mistake for the first time this race? Will Howell get a little bit feisty to try to make it happen? I'll tell you, 52 drove it in deep. Mercurio had to drive it in deep as well, deeper than he has all race, but they both slid. So that move really canceled each other out there as John Hall just licking his chops. Of course, John Hall has been dominant on the intermediates all year. This is probably the best short track run I've seen out of John Hall here in 2026, but this is where I think Mercurio, again, now dirty air for the 52, clean air for Mercurio, late run. This is where Mercurio has driven off by 1-2+ seconds. And they could see that drive off that the 82 got. He gapped him by about 0.2 of a second here. This is now Mercurio's wheelhouse. The initial tire run has wore off. Now Mercurio can get into his rhythm here. He has a small gap. Who doesn't have a small gap is Howell, because here comes John Hall. Tried to run the outside. Wasn't able to get anywhere with it. See all different lines of play. Scioli running a slightly different line there and getting a little bit of momentum from it off the top, closing back into the back of the 24. Would it be interesting to see how the 7 would be if he wasn't able to start, if he was able to start on the outside. He started on the inside so many times and really struggled because of that. Sometimes that positioning is what does you in here on these restarts, the luck of the draw. Saw Peyton Howell try to dive to the inside, trying to just do what he can do here, give a last-ditch effort, really wrapping that concrete, trying to find some kind of grip. Did gain a little bit, but not enough here as we now close in on 5 laps to go. And look at that bite that the 82 gets off a corner exit. That's what you need at a short track, is you need to be able to put the power down off the corner, not spin the wheels, get that thrust off the corner and down the straightaways, and that is what Mercurio has the ability to do. As John Hall trying to drive to the outside of Peyton Howell, can't do it. A little bit of a wiggle from John Hall. And he'll fall back in the line, so it's going to be about a draw on the points heading into Auto Club next week unless something happens. Coming to 3 laps to go on the year. Brian Mercurio looking for his 2nd win of the season. And right now it is looking to be right in front of him here as we now are 2 laps to go. If we make it to the white, we will make it to the checkers. And right now I don't see anything to shake that up. Mercurio's last win at Dover back in May. And now he's looking pretty here with a half-second lead coming off turn number 4. Barney has the flag in hand. 1 more lap to go here at North Wilkesboro. Put on such a good battle with Jonathan Evans. Battled for 30 laps to take the race lead, and once he got it, he set sail and did not look back. Howell put on a little bit of a challenge, but he held through and pulled it off. Mercurio wins here at North Wilkesboro. Peyton Howell gets a 2nd, and John Hall with a 3rd. That's going to give about a 1-point swing. We'll see what the official is, but heading into Auto Club next week, it's going to be a 2-man race, Howell and John Hall. Mercurio did everything he could do. He will be a long shot, but that's not what he's worried about tonight. He's worried about celebrating his victory here. Well-deserved by that number 82. Final margin of victory is 0.6, and he led 142 of the 170 laps here today. That is what you just call a royal butt whooping here. And he deserves every last donut that he is doing here on the front straightaway. But while he does that, let's give you the final rundown of results here today from North Wilkesboro. Mercurio getting another win here on the season by 0.6 over Peyton Howell. John Hall tried to get it, but he could not. He will fall for 3rd. Scioli struggled on that inside lane on the restarts. He falls to 4th. Evans, the pole setter in 5th. Connor Hoare, JT Poole, Travis Beckner, Alex Chilcutt, and Jake Nichols, the top 10. Spare me, guys. I'm just going to let the rest of them scroll on through here. And point out again, AJ Stravato, he was very good here today. Unfortunately for him, he had that spin out, never was really able to recover from it. And then the final page, 29 drivers strong. Opplinger underwent some damage. Jeff Wright was just really never someone here in the mix here this evening. But we'll get ready here for the post-race show. Wait for these drivers to pop on in for their brief words with us. In a pretty quick race here, only about an hour and 10 minutes. We were here for a pretty quick one here today. I'm just waiting for these drivers to pop on in. I don't have anybody available yet. Waiting for Howell, waiting for Mercurio, and waiting for John Hall to pop in here. But again, let's see what the final caution count was here on the day. 5 cautions for 21 laps. Again, that is great comparative to the 14 cautions that we had, I believe, in the Truck Series race here the other day. Here's Brian Mercurio in victory lane with a 2nd win of the season. Dominating fashion. Once you got by Evans, man, you set sail, and a little bit of a challenge by Peyton, but obviously you held off, man. What was it like to be on rails tonight like that?
Yeah, I think North Wilkesboro's got to be one of the better, rhythm tracks. They say that's a big thing for short tracks, but I think getting into a rhythm here at Wilkesboro, if you could just find your pace and just kind of run your own race, definitely helps when you have clean air for the majority of the race like I did. But just kind of finding your rhythm and finding your pace and just running it over and over again, just hitting your marks. I found something that was fast. It was helping the tires. I was a big fan of the long run. I was very happy every time I went green, but even on that little short run there, Peyton was keeping me honest. I had to adjust myself a little bit and run a little bit harder, but I was pretty confident that even with like all the dirty air and everything, I'd at least be able to hold them off.
Now, obviously, your second win on the season. The chase obviously had its ups and downs, so hot off the presses, you're 16 points out, so you're not out of it, but it's going to take some good luck for you at Auto Club next week. So with that being said, are you even looking at that as an option, or are you just looking forward to getting win number 3 next week at Auto Club?
That'd be nice. I'm always a big fan of Auto Club. And I tried to do everything for myself tonight. I know it was a kind of a roller coaster race for Peyton, having to start in the back, and I know John was up there in pace all night, but it makes what happened at Charlotte last week sting a little bit more. But just knowing that coming in here tonight, I did all that I could. If I go out and I win Auto Club next week, that's doing all that I possibly could. So, there's only so much that I can control. Really, really sucks getting taken out last week, but just gotta run my own pace and see what happens. And you never know what happens next week. But the run that Peyton and John are on, I take 2 steps forward, they're 1.5 steps behind me. So it'll be tough, but I think it'll be a good battle either way.
Absolutely. We're looking forward to watching it next week. We'll give you the floor, your shout-outs for your victory here tonight.
Yeah, just want to give a big thank you to everybody else who showed up here. I know usually as the season goes on, field sizes dwindle down a little bit, but seeing 39 cars is always or 29 cars is always really nice. So I appreciate everybody for showing up. You for putting on the broadcast, being the commentator. Always like going back, watching the races, especially ones that I lead a lot. I just like to look back, and it's always fun. Just got a big thank you to all the partners over at Coast to Coast and everything. What's on Tap, Chinchor Electric, Danis Utilities, Morass.live, Far Filament, ShopPrestonPartis.com, Lockdown, Sabetka Bail Bonds, and the newest edition that's been on for the last half of the season, Grungus. So thank you to everybody. It was a good time tonight, and thanks for all you do, Corey. I appreciate it.
Absolutely, man. We'll catch you next week. Great job.
Yeah, hopefully I'll be talking to you again.
Probably will. You're pretty good. We'll see you, man. Second place here on the day, Peyton Howell. Peyton was second on the day. You were doing everything you could to try to gap to 24 and get into that points lead. Well, you come out with a dead even. You came down 4. You're still 4 down, but all in all, let's talk about your race. You had to start in the back, but it was a good charge to the front, man.
That run just trying to get through the traffic was a lot of fun with how the top would kind of roll, but you could still get down to the bottom and wrap right next to the wall on entry and just like kind of roll center and get to them. It'd take you about 4 or 5 laps past somebody, but like you can just roll and roll and roll and roll on the bottom. And once you finally got your got to their door, you kind of send it off in the 3 and make a pass. And yeah, that run through the field was pretty fun. And I got up to John, and after I got to John, that was everything I had. I couldn't have went any faster.
Yeah, and it was fun. I mean, obviously that last restart, nobody had anything for Brian. He was basically the sub on Monday. He just drove off into no man's land, but you gave him a couple opportunities to really sweat there. I know you really drove in deep once. He got loose, you got loose, you looked low a few times. Was there ever a thought in your mind that you had a chance, or was it just, taking the effort, just seeing what happens?
I was like, I gotta move him, and he dominated the whole race. Even if I move him and I win the race and I get the points lead, I don't want to race like that. So I was never gonna move him. I was hoping I could get under him and just kind of work on him a little bit, and I got under him a couple times in the 1, but he just had on those new tires such a run off the corner. I needed 15 laps more of a run right there to really try to make the bottom work and get back to him, but he had such a big lead, and I wasn't going to move him or wreck him for the win.
Absolutely. Well, next week, obviously, first to second is a 5-point gap. So if you win the race next week, it's kind of a guarantee that you're going to win the race, less bonus points. So Auto Club, I know it's not a lottery in this car necessarily, but still a lot can happen there. So what's the strategy heading into Auto Club next week?
Qualify on the pole and just lead every lap would be the ideal way to do it. But honestly, I think I just got to keep John in sight and just try to be there and pressure him and maybe get him to make a mistake. But he probably won't fold under pressure. I'm going to have to win the race, more than likely. So we'll try. I'll give it everything I got, like I did tonight, to beat him. And Auto Club is one of my better tracks, so hopefully we can at least put on a good show for the title.
Well, I'm looking forward to it, man. I'll give you the floor for any shouts or thanks you want to give.
Yeah, I got to thank Wyatt Doolin for coming on the car all season. He's been an awesome sponsor and friend of mine. And his Snowman Studios, go check it out. Superior, Icon Apparel, go check them out. IconApparel906.com. Unrivaled Innovations, I got to thank Tim and all of those guys for everything that they've done this season. And John and all the guys in the field for racing me clean tonight, and you putting on a broadcast, and we'll see you in Auto Club racing for a title.
Absolutely. Should be fun, man. We'll see you next week.
Yes, sir.
And John Hall with the third here on the day. You did everything you could, and obviously you kept that gap right where it was with Peyton. At times you were 3 or 4 spots behind him, and then you got back up there, and both of you tried to take a stab at Brian, but he was just too quick tonight, man. So all in all, I mean, what was that battle like with the 52, trying to manage the gap and then manage the points lead?
Yeah, it was tough. I had a goal coming into the night to try to just break even, because I know how good Peyton is at short tracks. And thank God Brian Mercurio dominated this race, because if he wasn't in this race, we're in a different points position here. But no, that was one of the most fun short track races I think I've ever had on this game. That was an absolute blast. The car, you had all the different lanes you could run, 1 and 2, and fighting the car the whole time around, and the racing was really great. And I was going to need every single one of those last 40 laps to try to get by Peyton there in that last long run, but it all worked out in the end to where we broke even, and now it's going to be pretty much a straight up fight at Fontana, so I'm looking forward to that.
I know the math basically says that Peyton's basically thinking he has to win the race. I know Auto Club there could be pack racing wrecks, so you never know what could happen, but basically he said he's got to keep you in his sight, and he said, I have to win the race. So is that basically your goal? I know you've been good on the intermediates, and Auto Club kind of is in that category, so does that give you extra confidence knowing how well you've been on these speedways this season?
Yeah, I feel good about going in Auto Club with a chance at it. Peyton's just as fast, so it's going to be whoever wins the race, I think, wins the whole thing at the end of the day, because I think both of us are going to be up there towards the front, so it's just going to be whoever can get the lead and hold it. So I feel pretty good going into it. Fontana is one of my better tracks anyway, and it's going to widen out a lot, especially with the dynamic track working the way it is now. So it'll definitely be the most deserving guy at the end of that thing. So whoever wins, may the best man win.
Well, I'm looking forward to it already here on the top, man, but I'll give you the floor. Any shouts or words you want to give before we let you go?
Yeah, just thanks to the LVV guys for giving me a shot this season. I'm stoked it's coming down to the last race here for championship. I've been the bridesmaid in every area season I've run, so hopefully this is the one where we can cap it off finally. But yeah, thanks to Brass Ray and Yarn Hub, and of course we're keeping Ricky in our thoughts.
Absolutely, man. Great job here today, and I'm looking forward to next week. See what you can do.
Absolutely. Thank you, sir.
Well, that is a race here this evening, and I do appreciate everyone who stuck with me here, and obviously me being the only one to call this. It happens every now and then. It's tough doing it, but it's fun when the racing is good. Stay tuned for next week. It is championship week in all 3 series. It'll be the triple header at Auto Club with the Studio Temporary Cup Series, the Area Truck Series, and this very Florida State Builders Pro Series. We'll be wrapping up 3 championships next week here on PTR TV, and we're looking forward to you being along for the ride. If you're watching on Twitch, again, consider liking, subscribing, joining us there on Twitch next week on the Area iRacing Twitch for championship week. And like and subscribe on PTR TV for all of our other broadcast events. But that's going to be just Corey signing out of the booth. Have a great night, and we'll catch you next time.